Samuel was the Tsar of the First Bulgarian Empire from 997 to 6 October 1014. From 977 to 997, he was a general under Roman I of Bulgaria, the second surviving son of Emperor Peter I of Bulgaria, and co-ruled with him, as Roman bestowed upon him the command of the army and the effective royal authority. As Samuel struggled to preserve his country's independence from the Byzantine Empire, his rule was characterized by constant warfare against the Byzantines and their equally ambitious ruler Basil II. In his early years, Samuel managed to inflict several major defeats on the Byzantines and to launch offensive campaigns into the territory. In the late 10th century, the Bulgarian armies conquered the Principality of Dacia and led campaigns against the kingdoms of Croatia and Hungary. But from 1001, he was forced mainly to defend the empire against the superior Byzantine armies. Samuel died of a heart attack on 6 October 1014, 2 months after the catastrophic Battle of Clydian. His successors failed to organize a resistance, and in 1018, 4 years after Samuel's death, the country capitulated, ending the 5 decades-long Byzantine-Bulgarian conflict. Samuel was considered invincible in power and unsurpassable in strength. Similar comments were made even in Constantinople, where John Kyriots penned a poem offering a punning comparison between the Bulgarian emperor and Halley's comet, which appeared in 989. During Samuel's reign, Bulgaria gained control of most of the Balkans as far as southern Greece. He moved the capital from Skopje to Ohrid, which had been the cultural and military center of southwestern Bulgaria since Boris I's rule, and made the city the seat of the Bulgarian Patriarchate. Because of this, his realm is sometimes called the Western Bulgarian Empire. Samuel's energetic reign restored Bulgarian might on the Balkans, and although the empire was disestablished after his death, he is regarded as a heroic ruler in Bulgaria. The rise of the Comtopuli. The Comtopuli. Samuel was the fourth and youngest son of Count Nicholas, a Bulgarian noble who might have been the Count of Sardes, although other sources suggest that he was a regional count somewhere in the region of Macedonia. His mother was Ripsumia of Armenia, the daughter of King Ashot II of Armenia. The actual name of the dynasty is not known. Comtopuli is the nickname used by Byzantine historians, which is translated as sons of the Count. The Comtopuli rose to power out of the disorder that occurred in the Bulgarian Empire from 966 to 971. Tsar's invasion and the deposition of Boris II. During the reign of Emperor Peter I, Bulgaria prospered in a long-lasting peace with Byzantium. This was secured by the marriage of Peter with the Byzantine Princess Maria Lacarpiana, granddaughter of Byzantine Emperor Romanos I Lacarpanos. However, after Maria's death in 963, the truce had been shaken, and it was at this time or later that Peter I sent his sons Boris and Roman to Constantinople as honorary hostages, to honor the new terms of the peace treaty. During these years, the Byzantines and Bulgarians had entangled themselves in a war with Kievan Rus Prince Sviatoslav, who invaded Bulgaria several times. After a defeat from Sviatoslav, Peter I suffered a stroke and abdicated his throne in 969. Boris was allowed back to Bulgaria to take his father's throne, restore order and oppose Sviatoslav, but had little success. This was allegedly used by Nicholas and his sons, who were contemplating a revolt in 969. The Rus invaded Byzantine Thrace in 970, but suffered a defeat in the Battle of Arcadiopolis. The new Byzantine Emperor John Zimisces used this to his advantage. He quickly invaded Bulgaria the following year, defeated the Rus, and conquered the Bulgarian capital Preslav. Boris II of Bulgaria was richly divested of his imperial insignia in a public ceremony in Constantinople, and he and his brother Roman of Bulgaria remained in captivity. Although the ceremony in 971 had been intended as a symbolic termination of the Bulgarian Empire, the Byzantines were unable to assert their control over the western provinces of Bulgaria. Count Nicholas, Samuel's father, who had close ties to the royal court in Preslav, died in 970. In the same year, the sons of the Count, David, Moses, Aaron and Samuel, rebelled. The series of events are not clear due to contradicting sources, but it is sure that after 971 Samuel and his brothers were the de facto rulers of the western Bulgarian lands. In 973, the Comtopuli sent envoys to the Holy Roman Emperor Otto I in Quedlinburg in an attempt to secure the protection of the lands. The brothers ruled together in a tetrarchy. David ruled the southernmost regions and led the defensive, one of the most dangerous border areas around Thessaloniki and Thessaly. The centers of his possessions were Prespa and Castoria. Moses ruled from Strumitsa, which would be an outpost for attacks on the Aegean coast, and Says. Aaron ruled from Srades, and was to defend the main road from Adrianople to Belgrade, and to attack Thrace. Samuel ruled northwestern Bulgaria from the strong fortress of Vidan. He was also to organize the liberation of the conquered areas to the east, including the old capital Preslav. Some records suggest that David played a major role in this tumultuous period of Bulgarian history. War with Byzantium. After John I Zimisces died on the 11th of January 976, the Comtopuli launched an assault along the whole border. Within a few weeks, however, David was killed by Vlach vagrants and Moses was fatally injured by a stone during the siege of Says. The brothers' actions to the south detained many Byzantine troops and eased Samuel's liberation of northeastern Bulgaria. The Byzantine commander was defeated and retreated to Crimea. Any Bulgarian nobles and officials who had not opposed the Byzantine conquest of the region were executed, and the war continued north of the Danube until the enemy was scattered and Bulgarian rule was restored. After suffering these defeats in the Balkans, the Byzantine Empire descended into a civil war. The commander of the Asian army, Basil, rebelled in Asia Minor and sent troops under his son Romanus in Thrace to besiege Constantinople. The new emperor Basil II did not have enough manpower to fight both the Bulgarians and the rebels and resorted to treason, conspiracy and complicated diplomatic plots. Basil II made many promises to the Bulgarians and Scleros to divert them from allying against him. Aaron, the eldest living Comtopulus, was tempted by an alliance with the Byzantines and the opportunity to seize power in Bulgaria for himself. He held land in Thrace, a region potentially subject to the Byzantines' threat. Basil reached an agreement with Aaron, who asked to marry Basil's sister to seal it. Basil instead sent the wife of one of his officials with the Bishop of Sebaste. However, the deceit was uncovered and the bishop was killed. Nonetheless, negotiations proceeded and concluded in a peace agreement. The historian Silitzes read that Aaron wanted sole power and sympathized with the Romans. Samuel learned of the conspiracy and the clash between the two brothers was inevitable. The quarrel broke out in the vicinity of Dupnitsa on the 14th of June 976 and ended with the annihilation of Aaron's family. Only his son, Ivan Vladislav, survived because Samuel's son Gavril Radomir pleaded on his behalf. For the moment on, practically all power and authority in the state were held by Samuel, and the danger of an internal conflict was eliminated. However, another theory suggests that Aaron participated in the Battle of the Gates of Trajan, which took place 10 years later. According to that theory, Aaron was killed on the 14th of June 987 and 988. Co-rule with Roman. After the Byzantine plan to use Aaron to cause instability in Bulgaria failed, they tried to encourage the rightful heirs to the throne, Boris II and Roman, to oppose Samuel. Basil II hoped that they would win the support of the nobles and isolate Samuel, or perhaps even start a Bulgarian civil war. Boris and Roman were sent back in 977, but while they were passing through a forest near the border, Boris was killed by Bulgarian guards who were misled by his Byzantine clothing. Roman, who was walking some distance behind, managed to identify himself to the guards. Roman was taken to Vidan, where he was proclaimed Emperor of Bulgaria. Samuel became his first lieutenant and general, and together they gathered an army and fought the Byzantines. During his captivity, Roman had been castrated on the orders of John I Zimisce so that he would not have heirs. Thus Samuel was certain to eventually succeed Roman. The new emperor entrusted Samuel with the state administration and became occupied with church and religious affairs. As the main effort of Basil II were concentrated against the rebel Claros, Samuel's armies attacked the European possessions of the Byzantine Empire. Samuel invaded not only Thrace and the area of Thessaloniki, but also Thessaly, Hellas and Peloponnese. Many Byzantine fortresses fell under Bulgarian rule. Samuel wanted to seize the important fortress of Larissa, which controlled the key routes in Thessaly, and from 977 to 983 the town was blockaded. After starvation forced the Byzantines to surrender, the population was deported to the interior of Bulgaria and the males were forced to enlist in the Bulgarian army. Although Basil II sent forces to the region, they were defeated. With this victory, Bulgaria had gained influence over most of the southwestern Balkans, although it did not occupy some of these territories. From Larissa, Samuel took the relics of St. Achilleos, which were laid in a specially built church of the same name on an island in Lake Prespa. The Bulgarian successes in the west raised fears in Constantinople, and after serious preparations, Basil II launched a campaign into the very center of the Bulgarian Empire to distract Samuel from southern Greece. The Byzantine army passed through the mountains around Itiman and besieged Sardes in 986. The Byzantines assaulted the city for 20 days, but their attacks proved fruitless and costly. The Bulgarians came out of the city several times, killed many enemy soldiers and captured draft animals and horses. Eventually, the Bulgarian troops burned the siege equipment of the Byzantine army, forcing Basil II to withdraw to Thrace. But on the 17th of August 986, while passing through the mountains, the Byzantine army was routed at the Trajan's Gates Pass. This was a significant blow for Basil, who was one of the few to return to Constantinople. His personal treasure was captured by the victors. After the defeat, the rebellion of Bardis Phocas diverted the efforts of the Byzantine Empire into another civil war. Samuel seized the opportunity and began to exert pressure on Thessaloniki. Basil II sent a large army to the town and appointed a new governor, Gregorios Taranites, but he was powerless to stop the Bulgarian advance. By 989, the Bulgarian troops had penetrated deep into Byzantine territory and seized many fortresses, including such important cities as Veria and Servia. In the south, the Bulgarians marched throughout Epirus, and in the west they seized the area of modern Durrës on the Adriatic Sea. In 989, Phocas was killed killed and his followers surrendered, and the following year Basil II reached an agreement with Skleros. The Byzantines focused their attention on Bulgaria, and counter-attacked in 991. The Bulgarian army was defeated and Roman was captured while Samuel managed to escape. The Byzantines conquered some areas in 995. However, the Arabs invaded Asia Minor and Basil II was forced to move many of his troops to combat this new threat. Samuel quickly regained the lost lands and advanced south. In 996, he defeated the Byzantines in the Battle of Thessaloniki. During the battle, Thessaloniki's governor, Gregorios, perished and his son Ashot was captured. Elated by this success, the Bulgarians continued south. They marched through Thessaly, overcame the defensive wall at Thermopylae and entered the Peloponnese, devastating everything on the way. As a response, a Byzantine army under Nicephorus Uranos was sent after the Bulgarians, who returned north to meet it. The two armies met near the flooded river of Spercheios. The Byzantines found a place to ford, and on the night of the 19th of July 996 they surprised the unprepared Bulgarian army and routed it in the Battle of Spercheios. Samuel's arm was wounded and he barely escaped captivity. He and his son allegedly feigned death. After nightfall they headed for Bulgaria and walked 400 kilometers home. Research of Samuel's grave suggests that the bone in his arm healed at an angle of 140 degrees but remained crippled.